Hey everybody, hope you had a great trading day. So we have a lot to go over, so we're going to just jump right into it. TGL. I just want to focus on this for a moment, and we're going to be using a 1 minute chart. And the reason for this is because this is a new IPO that came out today. So I have fib levels in right here, and you can see the numbers right here on the side. And essentially what I was doing was watching this today off the open. And you can see kind of over here how you had all these gaps. They were all these halts, them trying to figure out what's going on. It seems to me that their book is short. And what that means, it seems like they're short shares. So a very interesting thing was happening when we were trading this one today in the trading room, trying to enter orders. They had to be exact limit orders, not accepting stop orders and no market orders. Sometimes this happens if the underlying firm that underwrote this is out of position. So in other words, if they don't have a lot of stock, sometimes this can happen. So that was very appealing to me. Now this was something that we just looked at, and I'm going to short this down on a 15-minute chart to show you this. But essentially what I was looking for was here, and then we just got tighter and tighter and tighter, and that was pretty much it. That was the first real signal to me that you could have used. And you're watching it get tighter. So whenever you start to see this, sometimes you can get ahead of it. We got a little bit ahead of it there the first time, then the second time, and then by the time it started moving off, we started just pairing into it into the fib levels. But I would not rule this out tomorrow. This is going to be one where you're going to see some interest tomorrow. You're going to see some fluctuations. More importantly, you're going to see a lot of people tonight go home and look this up and wonder what was up 152%. I'm not saying that we're looking at the next, HKD. That's not what I'm saying. You never know how these things are going to play out. This went from, from 30 to 2,500 all the way back down. This is kind of like a once in a lifetime. But I am saying that this should be on your radar for sure. And I'd be looking at like a 15-minute chart to make those decisions. Just note how these bars were shorter when we got involved versus how these bars are longer, right? So this is a completely different kind of flag, in my opinion. This is going to have more wild swings associated with it, where this breakout was going to be more controlled, right? That's what you're always looking for that little bit of edge. So I really want you to stay to the end to go over the indexes, but there are just an inordinate amount of names to go over. So let's just jump right into this. SRG is one that we've been in for some time. And we've been in the newsletter from 10 and 11:30. There is a free version of the newsletter below if you don't get it. Now, why am I showing you this? Well, you come right across, and then you break out, and then you come across, and then you break out again. Okay, the book value on this was 17 3/4, but that's before their earnings that just came out, and they really paid down a lot of their debt, and they strengthened their balance sheet with some leases. The companies said that they're trying to sell themselves, and this is when it broke out. But now they're also saying, even if we don't sell, or if we're not unable to sell ourselves, we're just going to sell off the assets. So the idea of this trading up in a market that's very weak makes a lot of sense. Names like this will kind of go sideways to up slowly if you're able to buy Tesla and make like 10% in a day. If you can't do that and you're not in that environment, you'll see a flight to safety. Names like this are a flight to safety. So you might want to watch this. You might want to watch this 462 if you're not in already from either the free newsletter or the trading room. The way that I would look at it is you could probably still make a couple dollars here, and it's definitely something that I would keep an eye on. So TQQ is one that we've been talking about for some time. If following in the trading room or in the newsroom, you can see where we are. But this was pretty clear signal today up here, and I'm just going to point this out, and we're going to jump right into the Qs. So I just want to go through this. So let me get rid of this particular segment lines because they're dead at this point. And we're going to point out some other ones. But see this line going straight across, this 3, 30, 21? Well, when we were doing the live private feed today, and here, let me show you this and drill out on this so you can see it. Okay, so this was where we had an issue before. 1, 2, 3. Okay, that's where the issue was before, and we thought we were really going to go. I actually came in fairly long that day, and it just did not work out off the open. But that happens. What are you going to do on the next trade? But you see how you're right here? Okay, so you got right to it. So as soon as we got to that level, now you're on the hourly, we're going to drop that back down to a 15 because now you know where I am. And you see how we broke out here, right? You have the inside bar, so then you're feeling really good about yourself. Then we break out, right? And you're feeling really good. And then boom, tries to break out and all your hopes and dreams are smashed. And then you undercut right here. That was pretty much it for us. That's when we knew that we should probably start trimming some things. You could always get back in, but your risk had flipped greatly. So this is where we started trimming. And the reason for it and why I'm pointing this out is when you're this close to a line and you get an execution like this, you want to pay attention to it. Okay. Doesn't mean the move's over. It just might mean the move's over for right now or for a day or two. You're not going to go straight up. It's not going to work that way. So I do believe that we're in great shape going forward, but there's a long-term trend line right here. And could you come down here and still be in an upward trend? Yes, you could. You could come down another 1% tomorrow like it's nothing. And it really wouldn't be that big of a deal. It's going to feel like a big deal for the people that were buying into that today. And there were a couple names that we bought and then we just got stopped out of or took half or third positions. I bought some net today, did not really work out, but it was a partial position. And when you do that, you have to make a decision, you either hold it or you get rid of it. But not every day is going to work out. And I just kind of want to hammer this point home. This is something that I tried to trade today. It did not work. Okay, so when we got into it, looked like it was going to finally go over that 20. I mean, this looks beautiful from here. Anybody would take this. And I'm pointing it out for a reason. You see how it broke out here and then we're up and then you can see how we acted. So if this trade didn't work, that's okay. The goal is honor your stop, move on to the next one, right? And if I let that get to me or I stay in this one, then what winds up happening? I might not have done this trade where I made considerably more than was lost in any trade today. So if you have a process, it allows you to free up the mental energy to go into the next trade. That's where I'm going with it. So I hope that little rant is helpful. But there's a lot that I would focus on that I've seen today. You're watching these natural gas names start to move. They tried to break out of this downward trend line, or as we refer to it, DTL, and it was unable to do that, wasn't it? Look where it closed. I mean, you can't make this up. So you closed right there. Wicks are what? Price rejection. So you have a little rejection right there. So that's something I would look at. Also, this LABU. So we're down 10%. One of the things we've been doing is when we're down 10%, we look for a buying opportunity in this. It's been working fairly well. I'm not sure you're there just yet. I think if the indexes come in a little bit more, this could drop down to this level and then maybe that 1082 level and then maybe go from there. And the reason I'm thinking that is because the upper trend did break today. So this was our upper trend line from the month of August going up. And you can see how we snapped right there. And now we're coming down and we're probably getting to that level. So that's really what we have to focus on right now. And we're at this really pivotal spot in the indexes. And I think that that's something we should really spend some time on. For people that are looking for shorts, look, I'm hammering the short left and right, but I did not short this today. I'm waiting for this to flip to the downside. If that flips to the downside, I'll probably add to my short position. If you've been following along for some time, we started shorting up here. I put on some puts down here. They didn't work. I'm still with them, but they're basically wallpaper at this point. But what I'd like to do is I'd like to see if this breaks, comes back down to that 45.30 and kind of go from there and then work the position. And, so we'll see what happens. This coin, same thing. Look, you cannot have stock compensation being 30% of your revenue. It's not going to work. So it's a real issue for them. And with trading volumes down over 70%, they have a real problem. I think a lot of people really misunderstood this agreement with the, I believe it was BlackRock. So just watch this. I think you could break here and have an issue, but let's spend a couple minutes and understand where we are in the pecking order. So as someone pointed out to me earlier today, you're right here and you can see how you're hooked in and how you stopped right there on anchored VWAP. I use anchor VWAP sometimes. This is a perfect example of when to use it, in my opinion. I would pay attention to this. And I think this is what this is telling you is all these people, because it's the volume weighted average price. I think it's telling that the average person that's in the market since the peak wants to reduce their exposure. I think that's what it's telling you. When you understand what these are, it makes a little more sense, doesn't it? So maybe we have to wait. Maybe those people have to clear out a little bit before we have the opportunity to push higher. Same thing with IWM. This is a huge move. those people that were underwater all that time, when you finally hit average, which is exactly what this is on the peak, well, you ran into a little selling. So we're going to probably want to see if that closes emphatically. We didn't really have that issue here. We couldn't even get up to there. I would just tell you to watch this 330.21 like a hawk. That's really what you want to focus on. I don't see anything broken here at all on the Qs, but that's how it starts. But 2 days down is not the end of the world. We didn't even hit a lower low today. So don't get too bearish, I guess is what I'm saying. What I would be doing is I'm still a net dip buyer on pullbacks. Starting positions today into any kind of rally really just did not work. And I just kind of want to point this out because I think it's very important. We are below on the VIX again. Okay, so they really didn't feel a need to buy a lot of protection going into tomorrow. And you haven't been like this since back here. So I think that's really important, and I think that's very significant for us to understand where we are. So the reason I spent so much time on the indexes tonight is because of your comments. So if you can comment below and let me know what else you'd like to see included, that would be great. I make content so that everybody watches it. And I wanted to kind of talk today a little bit more about some of the losses that I take trading. There's this misnomer that people are going to get over 70%, 80%. It does not work that way. I just want to make that really clear. If you look at some of the top traders in the world, Paul Tudor Jones, the guy that ran Renaissance, James Simons, like these guys were hitting 51, 52%. So it's not your win rate, it's how much of your win you keep. Just keep that in mind. If you're interested in looking at what goes on in the private trading room and the private newsletter, just right here, there'll be a preview button. That's it. That's all I have. Everybody, trade to win tomorrow.